Have you ever stopped to think about what Hollywood was truly capable of before strict censorship rules took hold? From tormented spirits and eerie mansions to unhinged scientists and ominous masked villains, this collection shows that early cinema could be far more frightening than most people realize. And believe it or not, the film ranked second is the most outrageous of them all, a startling creation that nearly 100 years later still resists easy explanation. Tonight, we're exploring the most unsettling horror films produced during the daring pre-code era of Hollywood. Let's dive in. White Zombie from 1932 stands as a landmark in horror history, one of the rare films that can claim it launched an entire subgenre. Set against an eerie Haitian backdrop, it introduces audiences to the original cinematic zombie, not flesh-eating creatures, but the living dead enslaved by a merciless master. Bela Lugosi dominates the screen as Murder Legendre, a plantation owner wielding supernatural control over the dead. The real unease doesn't come from staggering corpses but from the suffocating mood. Fog-drenched plantations, wide, vacant stares, and the terrifying idea of losing control of one's own will. Its hypnotic tone was unusual for the early 1930s. Tribal drums echo, distant chants linger, and the camera fixates on blank expressions and piercing eyes. Lugosi's portrayal is captivating, embodying a villain who strips others of autonomy. Beneath the surface lies commentary on domination and exploitation. Rather than gore, the horror is existential, endless forced labor without hope. Though its pacing may feel slow to modern viewers, its oppressive atmosphere leaves a lasting chill. The Old Dark House from 1932 sees director James Whale, known for Frankenstein, turning the haunted house formula inside out. A group of stranded travelers seeks refuge in a decaying mansion during a violent storm, only to encounter a bizarre and unstable family. The house itself feels alive, filled with hidden passageways and creeping shadows. Just when expectations settle, the tone shifts unexpectedly. Boris Karloff delivers a largely silent but menacing performance as the imposing butler Morgan. Around him swirl equally strange characters: a fanatic, a fire-obsessed relative, and a frail patriarch hidden upstairs. The film thrives on unpredictability, blending dark humor with genuine tension. Doors slam, lightning crashes, and every hallway feels threatening. Even today, its portrait of madness and moral decay feels daring. The Mask of Fu Manchu from 1932 is notorious for its bold excess. Karloff, transformed beneath heavy makeup, portrays Dr. Fu Manchu, a calculating villain pursuing ancient weapons to dominate the world. The film revels in themes of cruelty and power. Torture devices, underground chambers, and elaborate traps fill the screen. The camera lingers on fear-stricken faces and scenes of suffering. Though wrapped in pulp adventure aesthetics, it ventures into deeply disturbing territory. Fu Manchu's relentless drive for control casts a shadow over the entire story, making it one of the era's most audacious creations. 13 Women, released in 1932, functions as an early psychological thriller. It centers on Ursula Georgi, portrayed with chilling restraint, who seeks revenge against former classmates. Instead of physical violence, she employs manipulation, anonymous letters, and calculated psychological pressure. One by one, her victims unravel. The dread lies in inevitability, a slow collapse driven by fear. The film's willingness to depict emotional destruction and moral decline, especially driven by a female antagonist, was striking for its time. The horror resides in mental disintegration rather than graphic imagery, leaving a lingering discomfort. The Black Cat from 1934 pairs Karloff and Lugosi in a surreal tale of obsession and occult dread. Set in a stark modernist mansion built atop a battlefield's ruins, the cold architecture enhances the sense of unease. Karloff portrays Hjalmar Poelzig, a sinister cult leader surrounded by dark secrets and preserved bodies of former victims. Lugosi plays the haunted adversary seeking justice. Their tense confrontation unfolds amid whispers, rituals, and buried wartime atrocities. Though not explicit by today's standards, the psychological torment and moral darkness were shocking for audiences of the time. Freaks, released in 1932 and directed by Todd Browning, remains one of the most controversial films ever made. Set within a circus sideshow and featuring real performers with physical differences, it begins as a tragic romance and evolves into a chilling tale of betrayal and revenge. The true villains are not the marginalized performers but those who exploit them. The famous chant, "One of Us," echoes during the unforgettable climax. Banned in several countries upon release, the film challenges viewers to confront prejudice while delivering one of horror's most haunting finales. Island of Lost Souls from 1932 adapts the story of a mad scientist experimenting with the boundaries of nature. Charles Laughton plays Dr. Moreau, whose isolated island is home to disturbing human-animal hybrids. The House of Pain and the anguished cries of his creations create a relentless atmosphere of suffering. The repeated question, "Are we not men?" underscores themes of identity and morality. Moreau's calm cruelty makes him especially terrifying. When his creations rebel, the conclusion is both horrifying and strangely just. Murders in the Rue Morgue, also from 1932, draws inspiration from Edgar Allan Poe's work. Lugosi stars as a scientist obsessed with evolutionary theory, using an ape to abduct women for grotesque experiments. The shadow-filled Paris setting intensifies the claustrophobic mood. Much of the horror is implied rather than shown, allowing imagination to amplify fear. Mad science and primal menace combine in a feverish narrative that unsettled contemporary audiences. Dr. X from 1932 stands out visually due to its early two-color Technicolor process, which gives the film a sickly, unnatural hue. The story follows Dr. Xavier as he attempts to uncover a cannibalistic murderer among his colleagues. Laboratories filled with strange machinery and decaying imagery create an atmosphere of rot and paranoia. The climactic reveal, featuring a grotesque synthetic disguise, remains one of early horror's most memorable shocks. The Sin of Norah Moran from 1933 may be the strangest entry on the list. Blending melodrama, crime, and psychological horror, it tells of a woman awaiting execution for a crime she did not commit. The fragmented narrative moves through flashbacks, dreams, and hallucinations, immersing viewers in her fractured psyche. Themes of regret, destiny, and injustice weave through surreal imagery. The emotional intensity grounds its experimental structure, making it a deeply unsettling cinematic experience.
The Beast of the City from 1932 concludes the list with a grim portrayal of corruption. Rather than supernatural terror, it presents moral collapse. A police captain descends into brutality while fighting crime, blurring the boundary between justice and vengeance. Mob violence and public retribution unfold with startling intensity. The climax, a violent courthouse confrontation, underscores the film's warning: when protectors become ruthless, society itself is endangered. These films represent some of the boldest and most disturbing creations from pre-code Hollywood, a time when filmmakers pushed boundaries with fearless imagination. Which one unsettles you the most? Was your favorite missing? Share your thoughts, and if you enjoy exploring the darker side of classic cinema, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more haunting countdowns.